listening to Free Talk with MrB.
Hello and welcome. This is MrB on Free Talk with MrB. Our guest today, Dion, family from Jamaica, born and raised in the Bronx, New York. Let's hear from him as he brings out this magic. This is Free Talk. Free Talk with MrB. Hello, and welcome to Free Talk with MrB.
I seen you for a second, but then I ain't see you anymore. What's going on with you? There you go.
Hey, greetings. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. This is Free Talk with MrB. Welcome. It's good to see you and good to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Good to be here.
Yeah, I know our listeners can't see you, but I took the liberty of seeing you this time.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate it. It's good to see you too. It's been a little while.
For sure.
I know you've been busy.
Well, we keep doing what's necessary and trying to get our guest on to tell us more about themselves. Our listeners are so interested in hearing from different experiences, and we told them that different experiences are a way of giving back to the community. And so,
that's cool.
Yeah, I saw your interview on another program, and I said it'll be nice to have you on. All the same, it's a different theme and a different environment here, but tell me a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, look, if you can see, it's like it's a tree on the wall. I don't know if you see that.
Yes, is it a family tree?
Yeah, it has to be a family tree, you know. So it's just interesting, just checking everything out. So this is me just pondering, looking at the pictures today. I was looking up my grandmother, my father's father. So he died early and had a lot of kids, grandkids. My grandmother, my son, and my wife's family. And then our kids is just represents what we always been about, family, my parents come from Jamaica, but I'm born in America. They migrated here. I grew up in the Bronx, New York. They say the Bronx always is gritty. My father, he went the route of music. My mother, she worked for the phone company for a while. But, we was always affiliated with music and the culture, And I ended up falling in love with music, falling in love with fashion, because my brother, he and my father, they both tailored. They made pants, and my older brother Lennox, he turned that into a business. So I worked as an apprenticeship over there. Meanwhile, I was working on music.
So for yourself, have you been to the islands where your parents were born, and have you been there to discover it a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. When I was younger, I went there several times, spent periods out there. Actually, I was out there during one of the roughest elections that they had. I was a kid just walking through Hope Garden with my cousins down in Jamaica. They had a maze. They have a maze in Hope Gardens when I was younger. When I was young, I used to love walking through the maze. It was different. But several times, and then we go down there to go vacation. I got married in Jamaica, actually.
Okay, very cool. When in the old days, what I call the old days, they said when someone left the islands, especially Jamaica, and they went to the Americas, the song said, "One more Jamaican left the yard." What do you think they were referencing? This yard. What's the yard?
Well, the yard is home. Jamaican heritage is a very proud place. So when they say your yard, the place where you own, where you call home, where you relax, where you're most comfortable at. So so Jamaica has just always been referred as yard. You're Jamaican, yeah, yardy. Yeah, but Jamaica is very proud of their culture. It's a very small island that but it's very dominant in a forceful place where it has pride and heritage, especially the lineage and from Africa and even the indigenous people. So,
Yeah.
and then
It definitely stood out with the people I knew. It definitely kind of brought me up because we were growing up in the years when Kaya's album was coming out. I don't know if you're. I think we're around the same age as age mates.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
remember
I'm
that album
Generation
Kaya?
X by Bob Marley. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I was too young and too naive to know what Kaya was at that time.
Yeah, see, I knew what it was because I grew up like around a lot of young Rastafarians, being in a studio. Because I grew up in a studio environment,
Right.
around musicians and singers. Because my father used to produce, so that was one of the atmospheres I was brought up in. Being but I was still American. I was born in America, so that was interesting.
Right. So let me see. Since I've grown up, I learned that Kaya, of course, is marijuana. Now we had a lot of other names for it. Give me another name.
Yeah, you have Kaya, you have Kushrumpeng, you have Herb, you have Tampi.
Right. I remember
Okay.
Tampi.
Tampi now, yeah, Tampi. Right now they call it trees. On the American side they call it trees. American cabbage, that George Bush,
Yeah.
Indo, Dro, so
And I mean, I
yeah.
was not much into the studio, but I always listened to the songs. And the one I always hit in my head was "Excuse me while I light my spliff." So,
Mm,
so we couldn't reject that name. We know what's a spliff,
yeah,
right?
it's a relaxing feeling. When you burn your split, you're just relaxing. You're taking away yourself from the system.
Right.
And then it's like some people say it's good for your pineal gland. Your third eye. Some people may
Again,
call that.
the song said good for tuberculosis. So I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
things to keep in mind with what we're
absolutely.
talking about. And nowadays, it's quite okay to have a card in your pocket that says it's okay to be medicated in many of our states in the USA.
Yeah, yeah. Well, me. What as we learned, once they can monetize it, then it becomes legal. You know,
Right, right, right. Very interesting, very
you know,
interesting. So that,
because sorry, I was going to say that liquor once was illegal until they can monetize
right,
it.
right. So a lot of things in your youth, as you co-mingle between New York and Jamaica, what was standing out? I mean, let's say you're in New York and others are around.
Yeah.
What was standing out for you as a young man that you found to be prominent that you like to share with our audiences?
Well, I mean, to me, it's like I think was the fashion and the music. If I was to pick two, the food, but and the energy, you know, the energy and the drive to get things done. You
Right,
know,
right. I like that. I was talking to one of my podcasters, and we were talking about marketing, and one thing that we know about New York is it was well advertised, and one thing about Jamaica, come back to Jamaica, it was well advertised, and so there
right.
was some good energy around those two spots as they
Well,
as they came onto the
they say
world
anywhere
stage.
you go.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry. I was gonna say, they always say anywhere you go, you're gonna see, you're gonna meet a Jamaican. Anywhere in the world.
Well, now that you said that, I was in South Korea one time, sitting at a hotel waiting to be picked up to go to a job assignment. And it was a Dread Rasta came into the room and he just didn't fit in. And I was like, Dread Rasta, what are you doing here? And this Rasta man said, well, I'm the only one who knows how to weld this special metal underwater or something like that. And I was like, oh wow, it's amazing. Anywhere I go, I can find a good dread Rasta that's talented in one way or another. It was very,
And you
very,
see what he's doing.
yes, it was very intriguing. And he was very proud that he was the one called to do this weld. And he was one of the only persons certified to do it. So it was very nice. I was very proud.
Yeah, well, we gotta be. Well, when it comes down to history, if you really want to go into, I mean, we've been doing this for generations. It's just that we just don't know. Our history's been, you know, our history has been erased. We've been master builders, master welders, creators.
Right.
But it's just we just don't get the credit. We don't get the credit anymore.
It's not always
that part.
highlighted. So you must have been very proud when Hussein Bolt came on the scene.
Well, I'm always proud I live my life in a duality, in a lot of ways, because I'm hip hop and I'm reggae, you know what I mean? And that's just my life as a duality. So I'm just happy when any brother, we like doing their thing, especially when your yard now, you can attach yourself to it, but, just like everything else, it's like, you just gotta love your people, so when Hussein was doing his thing, we big him up, but then you had the other runners. Now, Jamaica always had runners, what I mean? Even when it came to boxers, Mike McCullum, anything that comes from Jamaica, people gonna be proud. Buster Rhymes,
And
that's just how the culture is.
For sure. And I mean that same, like if you want to talk about the top 10, when you Google it, you can Google the top 10 famous Jamaicans, and they put Hussein Bolt in the top, then Bob Marley,
really?
And Jimmy Cliff, Marcus Garvey.
Yeah, that's big.
But I mean, they were going down on the list, and I didn't know Harry Belafonte was from there. So Harry Belafonte, right?
That's pretty. That's a strong top 5.
Yeah, the top 10 says Louis Bennett, Ziggy Marley, Shaggy, and more. And so the whole idea is these are very, very famous names, all out of Jamaica.
Yeah, that's big. We do Africa proud.
Yeah, and now I think there's another added, the vice president nominee to the U.S. of A. has Jamaican roots, right?
Yeah, that's what we hear. I heard, but I don't know. I mean, that's what I heard. I heard that there's a chain of thought that her father went to the islands to learn learn some stuff down there. And he was there.
Yeah. Well, I'm like just a mention of a name makes me proud. So it's proud to be New Yorker, because everywhere I go, I can see a New York hat. Every country I've been to, I see a New York hat. And everywhere we go, we know there's something Jamaican. So it's just a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, so me, I guess I've always been proud. I've been a proud Jamaican. You know what I mean? Like I'm from that city. Right. From the Bronx, I feel like hip hop is mine. I feel like dancehall is mine. I feel like reggae is mine. I've been privileged to be involved with both of them intimately. So I just when I look at it, I just think of it as a unique place to be. Especially as an artist, because I ended up becoming an artist. When I was young, I was in like the 4th or 5th grade. The first song that I did was with a great singer named Sugar Lincoln Minor. You know what I mean? He was working with my father, Wackies. They called me because they knew I used to write rhymes,
right.
And went to the studio. And and I did the vocals. I didn't even think it was my best, vocal performance, but we did it. And it, like I said, it was ended up on the radio. I heard it on the radio, so it's like that's just a unique experience, just being who I was, I believe.
Very, very.
So
cool.
It's so interesting. Yeah, I think so. I think it's real. And I just kept pushing, and then I ended up to be in hip hop. Worked with KRS, Fat Joe, Grand Puba, Fashion, You know, so it was a way of manifesting. Now that I really think about it, you know?
So back in the day when you were a teenager, what was like your favorite artist back then?
That back then, uh, um, I really liked KRS. I like KRS. Definitely like KRS. I liked all the real like the pioneers, but I like say I would like Josie Wells. I would like Harold Bailey, Major Worries. Um, Shaba, Twizzy. Like I would listen to King Jammy, Stereo Mars, right? Then I was a fan of BDP, Public Enemy, Run DMC, but KRS One, you represent the Bronx, Grandmaster Flash, and Furious Five, um,
What about
Cold Crush Brothers.
what about reggae artists back in those days too?
Well, like reggae, you would have your Dennis Brown. It's like I used to grow up listening to Dennis Brown
I love
and
Dennis
Bob
Brown. Yeah.
Marley, and Bob Marley was very popular. Now, like, and then I was listening to music that at that time I didn't know who the artists were,
Uh huh.
and now that I'm getting older, I'm learning about the artists that I've always grown up listening to because I've always grown up listening to reggae. Whether it's like my cousins or my uncles playing it or my father's playing it in his vehicle. So I know the rhythms. Like
Right.
no, because Jamaican songs mostly they're rooted in a particular rhythm. Like you have like a Benoni rhythm or your Sling Ting rhythm, your Staggerlack, So I know those songs that came from Studio One and Tough Gun, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And
So
you know
it's deeper.
the songs were still a method of expressing the stress of the day and the hardship of the day. I remember this song called "Uptown Babies Don't Cry." You remember that
Mm.
song? That was
No,
a group name. I think. Let's see. Max Romeo. I'm not sure, but it just stuck in my mind. Uptown
Max
Babies.
Romeo.
Yeah, Uptown Babies Don't Cry. Imagine that. This,
You know what? I'm gonna check it out. Max
yeah,
Romeo. I know Max Romeo.
because the
He worked with
song,
my father before. Yeah.
right? The song was
Like I said,
saying,
I gotta check it out.
yeah, it was song
Sorry.
was saying that Uptown Babies don't cry because they don't know what hungry is like.
I'm doing
Uptown
like,
babies don't cry. They don't know what suffering is like. And it was kind of
yeah.
saying they had a mommy and a daddy and lots of toys to play with, so they don't know what they don't cry. And it always made me remember. I'm not sure if it helped me grow more, but
Max Romeo is
yeah,
a great artist.
for
Great,
sure.
got a
So I'm picking on you with songs. Any song that kind of influenced your life? Any albums or songs that influenced
yeah.
your life
My
going forward?
song, bro. I like Peter Tosh. You know what I mean? Equal Rights and Justice.
Right,
I
right.
like War by Bob Marley. I really appreciate that.
I had to go over
Um,
that over and over again just to get the sense of all of the words because that War album was pretty phenomenal. Phenomenal.
then Dennis Brown. Dennis Brown had a lot of songs I enjoyed.
Yeah. Did Dennis
Um,
Brown play ska, like more of the ska also? This form of
well,
reggae called ska?
yes, I don't want to talk as like a historian, but I'll know that Dennis Brown's been in the music since he was a child, and
Right.
reggae music was developed after ska, so that would put him in the era where I
Right,
could
right.
say strongly, yes, he sung ska, but he sung many songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he always put his twist. He always put his twist to the original. Because in the beginning, the Jamaican artist is really just singing over American R&B songs. A lot of the popular songs.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, um, what's the name died recently? Toots from the Maytals. The Toots and the Maytals. He died 2 weeks, about a month ago, maybe. with COVID-related death from what I see. But he was like, I think 72, 70. He was in his 70s for sure. And and he was the first person who said the word reggae in a song. You know what I mean? He goes down in history. Yeah, so in the meantime, may he rest in peace.
Right.
Yeah, and then I had different songs. Like I used to love, because there's a lot of like Junior Reed. You had the Junior Reed Black Euro. I mean, I used to listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
I listened to a lot of Bob, but songs like War, I really like War, and then I played that a lot in my 20s. The rebel music from
For sure. But with War, what stand out to me was the phrase, "Until the color of a man's skin has no more significance than the color of his eyes. Until then, there will be war." And it stood out to me. And I grew up with all of those words. It was a fundamental part of my life. So it helped mold me. It helped shape me. I'm sure the same for you.
Yes. Hey, yeah. You know where he got it, right?
Oh, I that's the thing. I don't. I really don't know.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you something. That was Haile Selassie's speech that he made to the Union, United States, the United Nations. So it was a speech that he took from the Emperor Haile Selassie.
I see. Okay, that would make sense from Bob Marley's in the day, because he was preaching the word through the music and using like the Rivers of Babylon is a scriptural song, and they sung it eloquently,
yes.
And so I could imagine him using some of the speeches and turn it into song. Very, very nice. I didn't even think of that.
Song. Yeah, it is.
That's something we can look up and verify. Right.
Absolutely. That's like, it's like a tidbit that people like, yeah, I didn't do that.
And it's interesting you use that word tidbit, because I also highlight the podcast saying, if someone could learn one tidbit from what we listen to here in the podcast, that we have actually given back to the community. And so I find that to be valuable. And so thank you for that. I really appreciate. If you were asked to speak to a body of youths in New York, even right now, you're invited back to speak. One of the things I want to know, what would you leave them with? As we're closing out this podcast, what would you leave them with as a lesson learned to take with them?
Well, Mr. B, you had to give me one of those. That's a nice one. Okay. I would tell them that everybody has magic inside of them.
Nice.
And we have to learn how to look inside and learn how to manifest our magic. That's what I would.
Very nice. And I guess that would be regardless of what's going on in the world, that they have to focus on their magic.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Because that's the whole idea of my podcast, is to be able to give back to the community, give back to the world. And that's a nice one. No one has said that.
And you always do that. That's your spirit. That's your energy.
I mean, I want all of us to give something back. And it could be this accumulation of experiences. And as you said, everyone has that wonderful amount of magic in them, and they need to manifest it in different ways. They need to bring it out. And so that would be a very good message to leave with those, that body you'll be speaking to, and with the world. I really appreciate that. I know you have a lot of material and a lot of matter. Would you come on to our show again in the future and focus your subject in?
You gotta have me on as a guest, a featured guest.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm still learning, and I have the opportunity to talk on my brother Tony Ryan's radio station. So we share ideas, and and I learn from him, or he reinforces that living life as a university, and everything you want to learn is right out here to get. It's just we got to be able to seek it, and I would add to it. We just got to be able to be focused and and think of ourselves as a world. We're a planet that's revolving in a solar system, and we just got to watch out for the distractions. I would call them like asteroids,
Right.
So we don't want no asteroids to get in our atmosphere and distract us from our daily rotation, our everyday movement in the universe.
Yes,
And
and let
break it
that.
down.
We don't want anything to stop that magic from flowing because it's inside every one of us.
Absolutely.
And it was a pleasure having you on, and I really do look forward to when you can come on again. And thank you for being on Free Talk. Yeah, thank you for being.
Absolutely.
I really look forward to you being here. All right. So
All right, take care. Good to see you.
very nice. Thank you, and we'll definitely keep in contact and talk again.
All right, absolutely. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Free Talk with Mr. B. Please remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode.